In this tutorial, we're going to sketch the geometry for the front rail and for most of the back rail. By the end of this tutorial, your project, or at least this part of the project, should look exactly like this on the screen. So we're going to start off with a new sketch. And we're going to sketch off the front face of the rail. And we want to start off with some construction lines. So alpha line. And we want to go all the way across the rail, but we also want all of these lines to be either horizontal or vertical. So we're looking for 460 millimeters in length and at 0 degrees. So I've got two going across the top, or sometimes you'll see 180 degrees. So either 0 or 180. One towards the bottom, and a vertical one at this end. Now I'm going to put some dimensions on, so D for dimension. So this vertical one is 25 millimeters from the end. Then we've got the first of the horizontals is 10 millimeters. The second is 15. Now this is just because, I've worked out this design. So these numbers are not set in stone. It's just that it's the design that I've, worked out. So 15. When you're in the workshop, you'll see how these all sort of work out in the workshop. And the bottom one is 10 as well. I'm going to zoom into this end here because this is where most of what we're doing is going to be happening for now. Oh, actually, I just forgot. There's one more. So alpha line, and again, it's still a construction line. We want to line up the middle. It's going to be a mirror line because we're going to use that mirror function again. So what I want there is D for dimension again, and I want that to be, and if you remember, it was 460 between shoulders, so we need this to be 230. It just saves us doubling up on the geometry that we're about to do. First thing we need is a circle. So I could have just gone C for circle. And we want to draw this circle off. I'm going to zoom in a little bit more. So back to C for circle, where the 15 millimeter and the 25 millimeter line intersect. And it is going to be, and I'm going to have to change that, the line type as well. That is going to be 40. Now, because it's still set for construction, let's just select that and turn that off because we're finished with our construction lines now. So we've got a couple more lines to draw here. So alpha line, we want to go from that point there and we want to go up vertically. Let's just make sure that we're not doing construction lines. And then we want to go from this point here and go across horizontally. The other thing that we want is a rectangle for our through mortise for our inner rails. So R for rectangle. And we want the top of our mortise to line up with this line here. So what we can do is we can just hover over it, come across, and then draw our rectangle, and it's going to be 20, tab, 10. Enter. I'm just going to tidy those up a little bit. Yeah, that's what I want. Make that a little bit tighter. And then we might as well define that. So that is going to be, that particular distance there is going to be 50 up from the bottom. So D for dimension. So we'll go, actually I don't like it when it does that. It goes around the wrong way. So I'm just going to press escape. D for dimension. If I actually go from the bottom, if it lets me, up to the top. So 50. And then we want it to be 90 in from the edge. So that point there, and we'll make that 90. So that's fully defined. Now we want to trim out excess geometry. So T for trim. And on this circle here, there's geometry that we don't need. Now we might get to a point, no, it's fine. Sometimes it can become unconstrained, which means you might see a blue line there. Now, if that happens, don't worry about it too much, but a really cool, fairly recent new feature for Fusion is if you get lines that for whatever reason they're not constrained, but you're not sure why or how to constrain them, you can actually come up here and auto constrain. And sometimes that can be really good in terms of just neatly constraining your sketches. It does make it easier for later if you want to change something. All right, so this is where the mirror function is going to come in handy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select a whole lot of geometry. In fact, I've got to go to mirror first. So mirror, and then we've just got to start selecting what we want to mirror. So so there should be 3 line segments there. And then if you just click and drag over this, you've got that rectangle as well. And the mirror line is our middle line down here. But what I'm going to do, I'm just going to zoom out so you can see exactly what we're about to do. We'll select our mirror line. And there you go. It's just mirrored all of the geometry over on the other side, saved us doing it twice. So we can go OK. Now I'll zoom back in again. I want to try to keep it all on the screen if I can. Now we want to create the top and bottom curve. Well, it's an arc, a 3-point arc. And I want to go, the bottom curve, I want to go from that corner to that corner. So it should show 460. And then I want to hit that intersection in the middle there. Now for the top one is I want to go from that corner there, or that point there to that point there, and hit this point in here where our 10mm from the top line comes in. Press escape. D for dimension. To constrain this line, we just need to put a dimension on it. 1716.25 is the radius. And you can see the curves for the top and the bottom, they are actually a little bit different. I'll show you the dimension for the radius for the bottom. So the radius for the bottom is 2650 and it's 1716 for the top. Basically, the amount of the curve is 10mm, like that's how much the seat drops down into the frame, and the curve comes up 10mm at the bottom. But you can see that the curves have differing lengths on them. That's basically all we need to do for this sketch. We will come back to this sketch later because we've got to add a little bit of geometry for the rear rail, but this is probably the most complicated sketch in the project by a long shot. So it's good to get that one out of the way early on.